theorganizedartistcompany.com, and welcome to this first of 3 trainings about how to create an Evergreen system. Oh, Justin's saying he doesn't have the Zoom link. Leonor, could you, he's on Facebook Messenger.
Yep, just let me know. I'll email it to him.
That sounds great. I'll just tell him to check his email. Good. So this is the first of 3 trainings that we're doing around our Evergreen Profits system. We're doing this retreat at the end of the month, and we realized that we needed to do some trainings in order to make sure that everybody was speaking the same language, get everybody on the same page, offer up the homework so that everybody's really prepped and ready to go. And since we had to do these trainings anyway, we thought this will be super fun to just open it up to everyone. So that's what we're here for. So some of you I know were concerned, like, oh, is this going to be a big sales pitch? It's not. It's not. It's really genuinely a training. We do have a few spaces available at the retreat. If you're interested in that, you can check it out, and we can talk about that later. But for right now, to get us started, let's go ahead and start the way you all know I like to start everything, which is with a little bit of breathing. So we're just going to inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 7, and exhale for a count of 8. And we'll just do that one time just to kind of get ourselves all into one space at one time and to focus our attention. So if you're ready, you can go ahead and let your belly go really poochy soft. Give yourself a little Mona Lisa smile. You ready? Let's inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you. Thank you for doing that with me. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam Bennett. I'm with theorganizedartistcompany.com. I usually work with creatives, helping them get unstuck from whatever way it is that they're stuck, but I have a secret life as an Infusionsoft consultant and reseller. I was honored as an Ultimate Marketer finalist by Infusionsoft in 2010. I often speak at marketing conferences, and I'm kind of a marketing nerd. I'm sort of a marketing junkie. So this decision that I made to offer this little Evergreen retreat is kind of a fun little angle for me. So I got together with Justin Lofton, whom many of you know from Sync Sumo, and Mary Kay Morgan from EFG Consulting, and Scott DeGrossier from Wicked Reports. And so we're doing these 3 trainings in preparation for, like I said, that Evergreen retreat that we're doing the end of the month. You can see here my head coach, Leonor Chia. Leonor is one of our trainers. She's also a certified online business manager, and trains and works with online businesses and professionals in that way. So she's also here as a resource for you. Do we have Justin yet? I don't want to jump in if he's here.
Yes, I just saw his name a moment ago. Justin, where are you?
There we go.
Go ahead and start your video if you can. That would just help us see you.
Oh, there he is. Oh, and when I was introducing myself, oh, are you there? And let's unmute him too. Looks like he's muted to me. Justin, do we have you? This is getting so mysterious.
Yes, very mysterious. Okay, continue on and I'll get in touch with him.
Okay. I forgot to say, I'm the author of 2 books. I wrote a book called Get It Done, From Procrastination to Creative Genius in 15 Minutes a Day. I got endorsed by Seth Godin, which I'm just totally not over that. And my latest book is called Start Right Where You Are, How Little Changes Can Make a Big Difference for Overwhelmed Procrastinators, Frustrated Overachievers, and Recovering Perfectionists. And we just launched that book in November. It's got traditionally published, and it's going really, really well, so that's exciting. So I also have experience as a writer and publisher. We got a lot of questions that we're going to try and answer. One of the big questions we got is, what exactly is an Evergreen Profits system? And And that's a great question because it means different things to different people, and different people use the phrase evergreen in different ways. What we're talking about when we talk about evergreen is something that is like an evergreen tree, perpetually available. So it is green and giving life and hopefully money into your business all the time. It's something that you can set and run and have it be fueling your business all the time. It's a great way to set up an income stream and a steady stream of traffic into your business. So the three parts to an evergreen profit system is traffic, attracting the right kind of ideal client right to your door, people who are primed, ready to go, looking for what you have to offer, already interested in what it is you're doing, to a certain degree pre-sold on what it is you have. Then we've got the delivery part, and that's what we'll be talking about today with Justin and Facebook ads. Then we've got the delivery part, and that's what we'll be talking about with Mary Kay next week. And the delivery part has a couple of elements to it. One is we want to make sure we're delivering something compelling so that it's not just like, okay, here's your free webinar, bye, or here's your recording, bye, or here's your ebook, whatever. But we're actually delivering something that's sticky, that gets them to log in, that makes them a part of your community and enables you to get to know them better so that not only can you serve them well with whatever it is that they've purchased from you, but you can also upsell them, cross-sell them, resell them, get them more deeply involved in your business. Because a lot of you are not just building businesses, you're building tribes and communities and movements. You know, you're working your business in a way that is not just about profit, but about making a lasting difference in the world. And the thing that makes a lasting difference in the world is relationships. So we really want there to be some sound educational design behind your offerings and some sound entrepreneurial sales structures so that you can be getting maximum profits with minimum effort in a way that serves your client the best and really wows them. That's what we want. We want them to be so wowed they can't not talk about you to their friends. The third part of the Evergreen Profit System is analytics and metrics and tracking. And that's what we're going to be talking about with Scott and Wicked Reports in our third Tuesday, 24th, I think. And this is a super, very little understood part of the business. Many of us don't, a lot of entrepreneurs don't track any numbers at all. I, in fact, once was doing some consulting for a big business. You would probably know them. You might be on their email list that delivers a lot of really big trainings, and they had nothing. I was like, okay, lifetime customer value. They're like, yeah, we don't know. I'm like, okay, well, what's your biggest lead source? Where's the, where are most people coming from? Oh yeah, we're not really sure. Like, it's amazing that they've done as well as they have, but I think that there's a lot of business owners who are doing that. So okay, Justin says he's here, but video gets weird, so he's just gonna do audio. That's cool. We can roll with just audio. So Scott on week 3 is gonna be teaching us what numbers we're gonna have to look at and really how to track the numbers that matter. So that every dime you're putting into your business, you're getting back 3-fold, 10-fold, 15-fold. We want to make sure that you're always getting a good return on investment from the time and energy that you put into the business that you love so much. So I'm hoping that makes sense for everyone. Justin?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you, honey?
Hey, guys. Sorry. Zoom doesn't like my PC today.
That's so weird.
I know.
Well,
we've got lighting in here. I've got great cameras. I got microphones, and I'm so excited to show my beautiful face to all of you.
I know you did the stage makeup just for this.
Zoom, Zoom said no, not today.
Bummer.
All right. Good. Well, we've been talking about what we're up to here today, that we're doing this training in preparation for the retreat that we're doing at the end of this month.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too. And talking about, because we had a lot of questions about what exactly is Evergreen, an Evergreen profit system.
Sure.
So that little 3-part thing that I was just describing, that traffic, delivery, and then metrics and analytics, can be used for just simple lead magnets, just to get people in. But you can also use it to sell people things, to sell them books, programs, and preferably things that are available anytime, so that you don't actually have to stand there and deliver the material.
Absolutely.
Membership sites, all that stuff. So Justin, I'm going to hand this over to you because you're the one with the information about how do we find these people, these beautiful, beautiful people, and serve them and sell them things and have a joyful life.
Excellent. Let's do it. So let's see. We got to screen share this bad boy. Share screen. Let me find which one of my 1,600 screens I have here that we should share.
That's the mark of a true entrepreneur, I think.
How many screens and windows can you have open at once?
Maybe that's why Zoom doesn't like me. Let's see here. Okay. You guys see my screen now?
Not yet.
All right. Be that way. Let's do this. Here we go.
There.
Better?
Beautiful.
Better? All right. Let's see if we can get the full view going here. Let's do it this way. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. I appreciate everybody taking the time to be here. I've got, I love this stuff. I've been running ads on Facebook for almost 6 years now. I used to be in the SEO game and search engine optimization, and I run an agency called Fresh Agency. I also own SingSumo, and I just love this stuff. Like, I've done it all: built funnels, email marketing, blah blah blah. Been doing this stuff since 1998. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. I've helped dozens of businesses with consulting, double and triple the revenues in 24 months. I've done a lot of this stuff in different markets, B2B, B2C. And at the end of the day, all I do now is I've got multiple businesses. I've got a multi-million-dollar e-commerce business where we sell products, physical products to consumers. And we largely drive all of our traffic through Facebook. So we're driving people directly from Facebook to product pages on our e-commerce stores, and people buy product like crazy. And we import from China to the U.S., and we have a distribution center. So that I've got a big business doing that. I've got SingSumo, which is both a utility tool that connects your most your most important marketing tools like Infusionsoft and Mailchimp and GoToWebinar to the Facebook advertising platform, and also provide training, Facebook ads training and coaching through that business as well. And lastly, I own Fresh Agency, which is run by another gentleman named Mitch, and we do Facebook advertising for other businesses. So I've done for you services in the Facebook advertising space. And I've run ads and I've promoted in every channel you can imagine, even offline, over the years. And Facebook is just there's nothing like it on the planet. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that here tonight so that you can fully understand the opportunity that's in front of you. And I want to show you, this is one of our ad accounts that I have for my businesses. I show you this because I want you to understand that the information I'm giving you tonight is worth a lot of money, and I've spent a fortune on Facebook, probably close to about $6-7 million at this point across various client accounts and our own e-commerce business. And so the stuff that I'm going to share with you, it's real. I've thrown a lot against the wall and lost a lot of money. It's spent a lot of time and frustration trying to figure this stuff out. And I'm going to kind of give you the formula for what successful Facebook ads look like and how you build them and how you put them together tonight, so that you can feel more confident that you can actually execute this stuff and put it into action for your business. Because once you kind of just get the machine in place, and this is obviously the stuff we're going to talk to each of the folks that join us for the Evergreen retreat. We're going to do this in a more intimate way for their specific business. So I hope you guys can join us there at the end of the month here. But I'm going to walk you through the process so that you kind of get a better understanding of the opportunity and how you would put this stuff together for your own business. And so, basically what I've learned after doing this stuff for almost 20 years is really it's about less is more. I think that obviously with multiple tools and all these moving parts and pieces and technology, it really can get cumbersome and very intimidating to put this stuff together and feel like you can actually turn this thing into a profitable system that works for you even while you're sleeping. And that for me was a game changer, as I built my e-commerce business and built the SyncSumo product and started to help people with Facebook training was the ability to just know that every morning I was going to wake up and roll over and see, more and more sales revenue coming in. I had to do nothing for it. I didn't lift a finger. It's because I built a system. And I want to show you how to do that tonight with the information we're going to cover. The other thing that, sort of the big picture that I've learned over the years is just the human psychology really never changes. I mean, the same advertising and the same things, we're programmed from god-awful number of years, sort of absorbing and reacting to certain types of ads and how we do things. And even, the best marketers and advertisers, we react the same way. We can't break it. It's just human psychology. We can't get away from it even for ourselves. We're probably the easiest guy to sell because we appreciate, the sales process and the fact that people are using psychology to sell us. And so that never changes. It doesn't matter what new technology, what new platform, whether it's physical or digital or offline or online, you cannot change human psychology. And so if we focus on that in the advertising that we do, then we're going to have success across the board, even if Facebook changes their platform, it does something different. And it's really about putting the right ads in front of the right people, and that's the combination that's key. And I think that's where people really get lost, is how to do that. And we're going to show you how to do that tonight. And I'm going to talk to you about a type of ad set that that allows you to put together ads and test things before you get down the road of building these giant funnels. We're going to talk about that in detail tonight. And at the end of the day, it works whether you're in B2B or B2C. There's certainly been, in the last couple years, there's a lot of people say, well, I'm not sure if my audience is really on Facebook, and, am I really going to be able to reach them there? And the reality is that, massive numbers of people are on Facebook, and it's rare that I find, a business type or an audience that can't be reached on Facebook. And so, these days, even, older demographics, they have more time on their hands. They've adopted smartphones, and they are using these platforms even when you may think that they just aren't. I mean, in some of the cases, those are the fastest growing demographics on Facebook.
Yeah, and Justin, I actually just want to leap in here and talk about just a quick word for the creatives, for the people from the Organized Artist Company who, and really underline what Justin's saying, because he's talking about storytelling.
Hello?
The great storytelling and great, reaching people and communicating with them deeply, and the ads and stories that work are the ones that have always worked from the dawn of time to now. And your natural empathy and your natural ability to tell stories is going to make this so easy for you.
Yeah, exactly. Once you apply it to the formula that I'm going to show you, then it's really just plug and go, and you just get better at it the more experience and practice you do. But you can use the formula over and over again, and it works like clockwork, which is amazing. And the beauty with Facebook is that there's no commitments, right? So you could start for as little as $20 a day, and you can shut it off whenever you want. You're not committed to pay them over a certain amount of time. It's really, they've made the platform accessible to any size business, so that they can use the platform to grow their business. So, originally they built the platform about 6 years ago for the big brands, and they started there, and over time they really made the product extremely accessible to very, very small businesses. So you really don't need much investment in ad dollars to start to see success with Facebook. And so I want to quickly go through why Facebook, because there's lots of other platforms. There's LinkedIn, there's Twitter, there's Pinterest. I mean, you name it. There's 1,000 other guys out there, Snapchat, and all this stuff going on. So there's no shortage of other platforms, and even Google and all these things that have been around for some time. And I want to help you understand, what this is about, and really, it's from somebody that's done it all, from, affiliate marketing to SEO to PPC to you name it. Why I love Facebook and why all my focus is on Facebook these days. At the end of the day, they basically have the most number of active eyeballs on the planet. So they already have almost 2 billion active users total on the platform. This is worldwide. And of those 1.85 billion, almost 1.2 billion are daily active users. So it's not just people that have signed up and have there's a bunch of accounts out there that maybe sign in once a month. No, these people are daily. They're on the platform all day long, essentially. And it continues to grow. And Facebook is working very hard to make sure that everybody and their mother gets on Facebook and has access to the internet so they can get on Facebook. I mean, literally, there are countries across the planet that they don't know what the internet is. They only know what Facebook is. And all they have is smartphones, and they have Facebook, and that's the only thing that they use. If you ask them what the internet is, they don't even know what that means. So that's what's happening with Facebook and its reach across the planet. On the other side, they own Instagram, and they have 500 million active users now, and they continue to grow. It was 400 million in September of 15. They're already at 500 million now. I listen to the Facebook investor calls every quarter, and they get these numbers out to us on the fly. So, the beauty with this is that this is a whole nother platform that literally it's a checkbox that's already pre-checked for you when you go to set up your ad. So it's not like you have to go build something separate to run your ads on Instagram. They built it to where it's seamless through the Facebook advertising platform. It's literally just another checkbox to allow you to show your ads on Instagram. So, you're going even well beyond that 1.2 billion that's daily active. You've got another 500 million, and largely the same people, right? So as we're targeting an audience, we can target them across these platforms simply because Facebook owns them all. And kind of where things are going, we're seeing a lot of activity, and there's now Messenger. Facebook Messenger has over 1 billion people, and they're turning on, they already have Facebook Messenger ads available to us. But really where it's going is they also own WhatsApp, and that platform has 1 billion users on it also. So there's never going to be, for the foreseeable future, there's never going to be a shortage of advertising inventory, and these guys will continue to acquire these types of platforms when it makes sense for them to reach more people across the planet, and giving us advertisers access to where people are across the planet. And the beauty is it's using the same database that Facebook has from a targeting perspective. And we're going to dive into that a little bit when we talk about targeting, so you guys understand that Facebook knows so much about us that it makes it really easy for us to reach the right people on the platform if you do things the right way. This one was a real shocker for me. Basically, 16 minutes of every waking hour we spend on social media. And, for me, that's a no-brainer. I mean, I am the epitome of this. This is my business, so of course I'm on Facebook and on Messenger, and my life is there, so I get that. But, I mean, it really helps you understand the impact of Facebook and social media in general with the activities of our day, in that we spend that much time on the platform. Really, from a business perspective, as an opportunity for a business advertiser, it allows you to stay in front of the right people all day long, as opposed to sending an email and hope they open it, resending the email to the people that didn't open. I mean, if you do any kind of email marketing, you're at 30% open rates if you're lucky, and you're at 4% click-through rates from those 30% that were open. So, that model and that channel, and then they don't spend any time there anymore, right? So you get, for me, I'm getting 600 emails a day. I see, I pay attention to Samantha's emails, and that's about it. So I mean, the rest of them, they get screwed. I don't get to read their stuff. But with social media, your ads can be shown in their news feeds all day long during this time that they spend 16 minutes of every waking hour on the platform. And so that is just huge, and that's just a behavioral change, and that's going to continue to grow over time because we do more on Facebook. Facebook continues to, they add Facebook Live, they add all these features that make it a central platform to do a lot of different things in our lives that make our lives easier and more interactive. Now, this is a big one too that really helps the advertiser when it comes to Facebook, is that really it's a shift. There's a shift to doing more and more on mobile devices, largely our cell phones, and tablets are becoming a part of that game as well. But really what you're seeing is that people are on the move more often, and they're using their mobile devices to access these platforms more often than they do on desktop. And that really changes the way that you look at the way you put together your funnels, your landing pages. You really have to pay a lot of attention to what those things look like on mobile. And that's not something that a lot of people have looked at and understand, the gap between the old world of desktop advertising and having massive landing pages that you have to read to kind of get to the value of what you're selling. On mobile, and the current behavior in the consumer market is, we're consuming stuff while we're pumping gas, while we're in the grocery store line, while we're driving our car. I mean, our attention spans are, milliseconds almost now. And so, you have to think from that perspective as this behavior continues to grow. And, more and more people are getting access to cheaper, smartphones, and they're giving away the smartphones now. And that is just feeding the opportunity for folks using the Facebook advertising platform. This is kind of a cool one. It talks about the top smartphone apps. And so really what you see here is that Facebook is just crushing it when it comes to apps that are very engaging, right? So Facebook is number one, just blows everybody away with the number of average unique users. And the next one after that is YouTube, which is owned by Google. It's just not a very interactive platform, right? You watch a video, you watch another video, you watch another video. It's not interactive from a social perspective. The third one is Facebook Messenger, and they just turned on Messenger ads as well. And so again, it's simply a checkbox in the advertising platform to reach people on Messenger with their Facebook Messenger app. And then there's a lot of Google properties here too. Again, they're not very socially engaged. They're just simply Google Search, Google Maps, Gmail, and then you get down to Instagram, also owned by Facebook, but it's a very interactive platform. You scroll through, you like stuff, you comment, you tag. There's a lot of interaction there and people coming back to those platforms all day long. And so Facebook really just has such a massive hold on the entire social media network, and they've built a platform on the backside that helps us advertisers reach people wherever they are. If they're on Instagram, they're on Messenger, or on Facebook, and the other platforms that they own. And so really it's the first time in history where a brand, the consumers are okay with brands being in the same newsfeed that they build a relationship with their friends, family, and colleagues. And that is just absolutely unprecedented, to where you can build a relationship with yourself as an authority, as an author, whatever the case may be, or as a business in the same newsfeed that they connect with their friends, family, and colleagues. There is no other channel in the world that you can do that with. Most everything else is interruptive advertising, commercials, billboards, radio, the rest. But this is where you can build a relationship, add value to people's lives, and they are more than happy to buy from you on the platform. Certainly Amazon has helped people get more comfortable with ordering online over the years, and now that's translating over to the Facebook advertising platform. So let's talk about cash generating Facebook ads, and certainly we can break here for a moment and answer any questions that might have come from kind of just exploring why Facebook is so powerful for us as advertisers.
Justin, I'm just loving the insight you gave about the ability for a business to advertise right there along with the messages from people's family and friends, because you do get that halo effect, as we're looking at messages from people we trust and people we know. And if as a business your message is in there too, and it's the right message, you are also sort of a long way along the road towards being liked and trusted. And we also know that familiarity breeds trust. The more people see your message, the more they see your face, the more they start to feel like, oh yeah, I know her. Oh yeah, I know them.
Yeah, association is very powerful.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that the broader thing there that really helps advertisers longer term, and it's really what Facebook has wanted to do with the platform all along. It's a balance of, hey, we want to make sure users are happy with the platform, and if we're going to run ads, we want to ensure that those ads are congruent with their life. Well, the only way we can do that is to give the advertiser a platform that they can actually target the right people with the right message in the right place, so that the user doesn't get upset with the ads they're seeing, and the advertiser actually gets a good response or return on their investment with those ads. And that's really what the balance that they've created, and they continue to get better at over time. I mean, the one thing about Facebook is that even though they make billions of dollars every quarter, they operate like a startup. They launch new features. They know they're full of bugs. They put them out there in 2 weeks. They solve the bugs because they don't wait 6 months to get something perfect. They just bring it to market, and then they work through the issues once it's in the market. And that's how they've really accelerated and stayed on their game like they have, is because they continue to operate. I mean, literally, I'll learn about features and things that have hit the platform that I even have access to, and I asked and talked to my Facebook rep, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know that we launched that yet." There's such a big gap, and there's such a big company that some of their people don't even understand the stuff that's being launched in the background. They're still waiting for the press release to come out. And so it's an interesting beast. It's a big animal, but they've really done a great job of finding that balance between the user and the advertiser. So let's dive into cash generating Facebook ads. And this is really, again, I've spent, countless hours and days and weeks and years figuring this out and throwing lots of money away to figure this out. So this formula that I'm going to show you is something that is going to make your lives a lot easier, because I think one of the biggest challenges that I've learned from talking to others trying to do Facebook advertising is, targeting, I sort of figured that out. And I kind of went through and checked off some boxes, and it seems like it's targeted. And then so what happens is they get to the ad creation part, and they sort of just like, this is a blank slate. What am I supposed to say to people? And what should the image be? Or should I do a video? Or, what is it that I should say and do? And so, I built a formula and tested this formula over the years, and I'm going to share it with you. So, it's basically a very simple formula where it's AIDA. So if you're not familiar with AIDA, it's something that has been around for over 100 years now, but it was more popularized when the movie Glengarry Glen Ross came out, which is a great movie with a lot of great actors before their time. So if you get a chance to see it, it's a great one. It's about sales in the real estate market, but it's it's old school sales style. And in the movie, he talks about AIDA, and really it's a simple formula to remember. And you can use this formula whether you're writing a Facebook ad, or you're writing a landing page, or you're writing an email. This formula can be used in any one of those types of scenarios where you're trying to get a message across to someone and get them to take an action, which is generally what we're doing as business owners all the time. And so the A in AIDA stands for attention. You want to get someone's attention, right? And I'll show you kind of what this looks like. I just want to give you the formula and help you understand what AIDA stands for. I is for interest. You want to build interest in what you have. D is desire. You want to convince them that what you have is something that they need, and that you have something that can provide some sort of value. And then lastly, be very specific and tell them what action you want them to take. So let's take a look at an ad and really what the formula, the ad copy of formula looks like using AIDA. And so there's a lot going on here on this slide, but I'll break it down for you, and we'll spend a little time here on this slide so you can get a better understanding of what's going on here. And so again, at the beginning, we're just trying to get their attention. It's sort of like you walk in a room and you say, "Hey, you." Well, a lot of people in the room are probably going to turn around, and because they probably think you're talking to them, right? You see this anywhere, like, "Hey, Joe." Well, Joe's going to turn around, and the rest of the crowd isn't. And so you kind of want to do that with your market. You want to say, if you walk into a room at the Evergreen retreat and you say, "Hey, marketers," probably everybody in the room is probably going to turn around. They probably think you're talking about them. Or, "Hey, business owners," right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to find, you want to kind of do that call out with your ad, so that when somebody sees your ad, they want to feel like, "Oh, this is for me." You get their attention both with the image as well as from at the beginning of the ad copy, where in this particular ad, which I'm currently running right now, we'll talk more about as we go through the presentation, I'm calling out marketers, okay? And so I want to get if you're a marketer, you're going to pay attention to this ad because I'm calling you out, okay? The next thing is I'm using a question to build interest, right? So human psychology, if we're asked a question, the brain cannot not answer that question. You know, we have to answer it, even if it's in our own heads, and we will, you know, spend weeks on end trying to find an answer to a question that we were asked at some given time. And so in this particular interest generating process, I'm using a question. I'm saying, tired of throwing your hard-earned cash out the window with Facebook ads. So I'm using some good copywriting to give a visual of someone throwing their money out the window, and you know, it's about Facebook ads. And what I'm trying to do here generally is with this question is get them to say yes. So in the process of doing any kind of sales, I want to get them to start saying yes, whether it's in their head or verbally. I want them to say yes multiple times so that by the time they get to the place where I'm asking them to take an action, they're going to say yes again. And so that question should be a question that gets them to say yes, and also digs up the pain or the problem in that market, right? Because we're not very motivated as humans unless we're reminded of the pain or the challenge that we're facing. And so in this particular question, this interest section, I'm asking them if they are tired of throwing their money out the window with Facebook ads, right? And the people that likely I can help are going to say yes. I'm tired of throwing my money away with Facebook ads. And then I use, for the desire section, I'm really positioning the offer. Okay, what do you have for me? You know, yeah, I'm tired of throwing my money away with Facebook. What do you got for me? And I've got a new report that reveals the 10 secret psychological triggers that generates millions of sales for me each year. That builds desire. I want that. I want to know what you got, right? And so the next thing, and this is really where a lot of people fall down, because if you're not in sales, you've never done sales, you've never been comfortable sales, people talk about their stuff all the time, and it's very conversational. And I think that's where people like, yeah, I can write great landing pages and emails and all this stuff, but they never ask them to take any action. They're never very clear about the action, or they've got 6 different calls to action, things to click on and things to distract you. You need to have a single call to action. You need to tell them exactly what you want them to do. And in this particular ad, I want them to click download now so that they can get it for free. So I'm telling them exactly what I want them to do if what I'm telling them I have is of value to them. So that's very important. That's the number 4 action is really the place where I see most people fall down. They'll write some really good copy. They don't really tell people what to do. And unfortunately, especially on the web, we have to be told what do you want me to do? Like, what am I supposed to click on? What is this? And if you don't tell them that they generally will just keep scrolling. You know, they got 100 other posts and ads and things that they can look at from their friends and family and things. So, and then I'm using attention-getting imagery, right? So in number 1 with attention, I'm using an image that gets attention, whether you're female or male. This is a great image. She's, you know, it's very metaphoric in that she's saying, shh, you know, there's a secret. And then again on the headline, which is that bottom section there on the ad where I'm saying 10 secret triggers, I'm using, you know, a lot of different pieces of AIDA in that simple statement, 10 secret triggers. Okay, and then I've got a little subheadline there where I'm telling people it was a $97 report and I'm giving away 1,000 copies. So it creates a higher perceived value and limits and tells them there's some scarcity. So it's telling them there's only I'm only going to give away 1,000 of these things. So get yours before they're gone. So I'm building up scarcity, which again with humans we need to be motivated. We need pain to be motivated. We need, you know, something that we desire to be motivated, very emotionally driven, right? So that's what we're doing here. You know, when you look at this ad, if you didn't know the formula and you looked at this ad and you're like, well, it's a good looking ad, you wouldn't know that there was a clear formula being applied here. But the beauty is that you can do this over and over again, and that's what we do both at my agency and for all the stuff that we do. for our Facebook ads, whether it's in e-commerce or whatever the case may be. It's the same formula all the time. Now, it can look a lot of different ways, and you can play with things and probably beat some of this stuff and, you know, get leads and sales cheaper by tweaking it and doing it a different way, or doing longer sales copy in the ad, which you can do. But generally what's happening, whether it's long or short, is that you're addressing these 4 areas. And if you can do that over and over again, this will allow you to kind of have a formula that you can stick to, that you know out of the gate when you start running Facebook ads was going to work. It's largely going to work pretty damn well, and you can always refine it and improve your copy from there and test other things against that. As I showed you in the ad, you know, it's all about using engaging images and video, and typically stick with metaphoric images. So images that could, you know, let me go back to this one. This image right here, I can use that in 100 different industries and markets. You can use it over and over again. You know, and you should go find the image. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to find it and you know, buy it off Shutterstock or whatever the case may be. But you could use this in a ton of different ads across different businesses, B2C, B2C. It would work like gangbusters. Even the one that I created originally for this, which was more of an illustrated, you know, showing the actual template on the image, she crushed it. She crushed that one. So, you know, these metaphoric images are very powerful, and the beauty is that they can be applied again and again to different offers that you might have, because it's implying an emotion in someone versus, you know, here's what I have, it's a commodity, come and get it. You know, you want to use these images that really captivate people emotionally, and they draw a lot of attention so that they'll stop long enough in the news feed and read your ad and actually engage with your offer. Now, the other thing that I've had a lot of great success with is, and it's another way that Facebook continues to innovate, is that they created what they call slideshow videos. And it's essentially the ability to add multiple images, and they create a video for you. And so video content on Facebook, video content in general, as we know, you know, we love to watch TV and movies and all this stuff. You know, we're more engaged in that kind of stuff. You can tell a better story. You can build a relationship faster. So, you know, it's not that images don't work well, they do. Especially when you have simple offers like I showed you with the lead magnets and download a report. But when you have more complex offers, you're trying to get somebody to a webinar, you want to explain to them the service that you bring to market in a more detailed way, then, you know, the video content in general, but a lot, again, video content can be very intimidating. Like, I don't want to have my face on it. I don't even know how to make a PowerPoint. What do I say in it? You know, so these slideshow videos that Facebook created, where you just upload, now it's up to 10 images you can upload, and they can add music for you, text overlays. I mean, they've even launched some stuff that may have not been rolled out to every account, that's basically like an editing studio right inside of Facebook ads. They've really taken the slideshow video to the next level, because they know that video content and creating it can be very intimidating for most people. But the beauty is, like, you know, with our cell phones, we can shoot beautiful images, or we can, you know, go to stock photo sites and find some really strong imagery, overlay some text, and upload those images within minutes. And Facebook is doing all the hard technical work to turn that into a real video that will show up in your ad. You'll get a sense for my ratio is a little off in the ad that I show at the end here, but you'll see that now this is a video and it plays through. And so Facebook's slideshow videos are another great way to leverage video content without having to have any type of video editing experience. So so really that's the key formula, is the AI. If you remember AIDA, and you kind of remember what I put together here, and we can certainly send out this deck afterwards, Sam, if you'd like, so that folks have this and they can start to implement it for themselves. But try and keep it simple and remember this and roll it out. And you'll find that the stuff that you're putting together out of the gate is going to work extremely well for you, because again, human psychology just doesn't change. So it doesn't matter what market you're in, this type of strategy will work.
I think this is so great, Justin. Yeah, I'd love to be able to send out this deck. I think that'll be really valuable.
Yeah.
And even for those of you even who maybe aren't ready to do Facebook ads yet, that's too overwhelming for you. But this exact formula is great for anything.
Yeah, it is.
So hey, horror fans, tired of lame, movies, want to get with other smart horror fans, join my membership group. Hey, poetry lovers, hey, meditators, hey, suffering from sciatic pain, try this vitamin, whatever it is that you're offering, you're solving a problem for people. So reminding them that they have this problem and that there is an easy, that there's a way for them to start thinking about their problem in a new way and get a solution is a beautiful service to people.
Yeah, and I think that, the thing to remember too is that, it sounds a little cheesy, a little whatever, like, oh, I'm going to email my list and then take them to a landing page that says, hey, whatever, lovers. It's like, well, but that's going to get them engaged in the rest of the content. Like, this is for me because I love that. That's a part of it, is that you're trying to get them to engage with the rest of the stuff you put together on that page. And until you quickly show them that it's about them, that we're selfish beings, right? So we want to make sure that the stuff is about us before we commit our time and energy to read beyond that. And so calling that out, as much as it may sound a little goofy or cheesy, it's really important to getting people engaged in your stuff, even though that statement may be very obvious.
I want to say, because I can almost feel people getting interested, like there's little like ears pricking, like, ooh, I can see the opportunity in this. Oh, I can see how easy this could be. And we do. This is not a big sales pitch, but we do still have some spots available at our Evergreen implementation retreat, which is 3 days at the end of the month. You can just go to evergreenretreat.co to learn all the information. I'm not going to go through it all with you here, but it's me, it's Justin, it's Scott, it's Mary Kay. It's super reasonably priced, and there's a few slots left. So if you're feeling this, you might want to check that out. Okay, Justin, keep going.
Yeah, so now I want to cover, there's really something that there's a lot of people that are like, well, I tried Facebook ads and they took all my money. There's always that kind of thing when you work with something new, and there's the people that believe that Facebook's out to extort everybody and all this stuff. But there's definitely what I found that, and I did this in my early days with Facebook ads, because it's just as a marketer, we go to certain places in our head about what we think about the market, and I see this with business owners too, where they believe that they know their customers really well. They've been in business 5 years, 10 years, whatever, and they feel like they know their customers, and they start to apply that to the Facebook advertising platform when they're doing their targeting, their audience targeting, and trying to reach the right people. And what happens, and I did this for a long time, is they end up paying a premium, a large premium, for the same inventory that they could be paying a lot less for. And it's simply because we're dealing with the marketing mind, and that doesn't necessarily apply well to a computer, an algorithm. And part of this, and understanding this and breaking this down and figuring this out, came from my years. In my previous days, I was an engineer. I built computer networks all over the globe. I was a Cisco systems engineer, for those of you that know who Cisco is. They're a huge company that builds most of the infrastructure for the internet and everything across the globe. And really what I learned, and this was also kind of translated into my years of studying the Google algorithm when I was trying to manipulate their search rankings, and I got very good at doing that. And that helped me understand how to think about the Facebook algorithm and why it operates the way it does, and why most marketers tend to pay a lot more for the same inventory. And it's simply because, as marketers, we tend to believe that, and this is also Facebook's fault to some degree, in that they are trying to attract all types of advertisers, right? There's brand advertisers, there's guys trying to generate leads, there's guys that are trying to generate sales, there's guys that just want awareness for their local business. There's all these different types of objectives for advertising on the platform, and what they've done is they partnered with third parties to get different various data about real estate and buying behaviors and all these things, and they pulled it into one interface so that advertisers can check a bunch of boxes and filter things down to the degree that they feel like this is the audience. This is the holy grail audience in Facebook. They have a lot of granularity, whether it's, hey, we want to target moms with kids that are between the age of 3 and 8. I mean, this is the kind of granularity that you have in the platform. And so it's very as a marketer, when you believe that you know that that's your customer, then you tend to check those boxes. And what happens is, I mean, you kind of get a sense here. I just did a screenshot on, some of the targeting stuff, and this is just in the demographics section of Facebook's targeting. How educated are they? Finished high school? Ethnic affinities. How much money do you make? How many credit cards you have, how many credit lines you have, you own your home, how long have you owned it? I mean, this stuff is endless, the boxes you can check off. And marketers, generally what they're doing is they're checking off a lot of boxes. And what I've discovered is that you basically pay a premium when you start to do that. And basically, think in terms of every time you check a new box or you limit the audience that Facebook can target, you're basically telling Facebook, I know better than your algorithm how to reach these people. And so really what you're trying to do in Facebook is create a targeted audience that's still very large and still open, still very open. So, I used to target, when I first started Facebook advertising, I would target, 300,000 to 400,000 people in an audience. Everything will work great. 2 weeks later, why is this thing not working anymore? And really, you have to kind of think back. As I told you earlier, when the platform was first built, it was built for massive brands they're trying to target millions of people. And so the algorithm at its core works better when you give it more leeway to work with and give it bigger audiences than you probably could ever imagine would be targeted in your space. And so let me kind of give you, so there's a couple of ways to do this. And if you've got a list, if you've got data, if you've got if you've been in business and you've got an email list, even 100 people or more, you can now import the email list into Facebook so that you can target those people through Facebook. And what that allows you to do, you can do that in an automated way with our tool set with SyncSumo. Facebook allows you to import that list manually with CSVs and exporting and importing. SyncSumo exists to automate that entire process. But the beauty is that Facebook has a platform that allows you to take that data and turn it into what they call a lookalike audience. And this is where the holy grail is. So instead of, if you have a list of 100 people or more, you want to import that into Facebook, and you want to create a 1%, what they call a 1% lookalike audience. And what they're doing there, even though Facebook gives us all these check boxes and things that we can segment down, is that they are tracking 2,000 plus data points on every one of us. And much of that data does not exist in your check boxes. They know stuff about us that we don't know they know about us, right? And that's their secret sauce. That's why they make billions of dollars every quarter, is because they are enabling advertisers to find people on the platform that look just like your buyers, right? So think in terms of importing your email list or your buyers list. Let's say you have 100 buyers on your email list. You sync that up with SyncSumo. We create what they call a custom audience in Facebook. From that audience, you make a 1% lookalike. Now, I don't want you guys to get overwhelmed with all this. It sounds fancy and all this stuff. Basically, it's saying, hey, Facebook, here's a bunch of email addresses and phone numbers for my customers. Can you go find a bunch of people that look just like them on Facebook? That's really what's happening here. And Facebook basically says, oh, well, we just looked up all your little customers on Facebook, and we know all kinds of good stuff about them. And we're going to go find 2 million people in the United States, that's 1%, that look just like those guys. And we want to run your ads right in front of them. And so that's really what's happening here. It's unbelievable, but the challenge is that marketers generally want to go check off these boxes and, oh, yeah, my buyers are only 35 to 45, and it's mostly women, and they start getting into all this stuff, and before you know it, they're paying 6, 8 times, 10 times what they should for that inventory, when you let Facebook figure it out for you, basically go to work for you, then you get that same inventory a lot cheaper. And the way to do that is basically just plug in a 1% lookalike audience and let them do it. Leave the genders open, target male and female, use auto placement so it goes on Facebook, Instagram, and all these other platforms that they own. And really what you're looking for is audiences from 1 to 3 million. And for some businesses it'll be like, oh my God, that sounds ridiculously huge. But I'm telling you, there's so many people on Facebook. And in the U.S., like I said, 1%, it's 1% of the country you choose. So in the U.S., it's 2 million people, a 1% lookalike audience. And the beauty is that allows their algorithm to work for you. You're never going to run out of people to put ads in front of when you create audiences of that size. And I've found in my experience is that I get the inventory as cheaply as possible when I let Facebook put the ads in front of people and figure it out. Because what happens is Facebook will show it to people, and if those people don't respond to the ad, then they're not going to show it to people like that in the audience you chose. But as people come through your offer, like I showed you with the $1 million Facebook ad template ad that we've been going through, as people come through and download that lead magnet, they're looking at them and saying, oh, these are the people in that 2 million audience that like this stuff. So now every moment that a new lead is coming through, they're saying, oh, we're getting more data about who's really downloading this so we can put it in front of the right people in this 2 million size audience. And that's why their technology is so impactful for businesses. They're using the platform because a lot of it, if you set it up right, it will work for you as opposed to you having to stare at it and tweak things every day and all these things. It gets better over time as more data comes through, and you start to optimize the campaign because Facebook is using the data that's coming through your campaign as well as the initial audience that you created from your buyers list so that you can, out of the gate, again, now we've built an ad that's using a formula. Now we're targeting this 1% lookalike audience that's open so that Facebook can do their job to bring you more leads and sales. And then, on the next stage, it's really about what type of lead objectives or what type of objectives should you be using for your business. So now that we've got an ad that kicks butt, you've got a formula out of the gate. If you're targeting 1% lookalikes of your buyers, and even if you don't have 100 buyers, just put your entire email list in there. It's going to look like the people that engage with your business, right? And so, you work with the data that you have. If you don't have a lot of data and you're just starting things out or you're trying to build your list up, a lot of people will do what they call interest targeting on Facebook. And I try and stay away from interest targeting as much as possible. Here's why. I have a daughter. She's 10. I love her to death. If I see some post or something about ballet because I have things that on my feed because other parents share things, whatever, if I like that particular post, then Facebook thinks I'm interested in ballet. So if you use interest targeting, you're probably going to be putting ads in the front of a bunch of people that don't have any interest in your stuff, and you're going to see a very poor response to your ads. But unfortunately, when you have no data, you don't have email lists, you don't have phone numbers, you don't have a lot of website traffic, you have to start somewhere, right? And so, what I recommend is leveraging their behaviors. They have behaviors are based on real activities in people's lives. Some of this stuff is Facebook-owned data, and some of it's third-party data. And even more so, they have a section called purchase behaviors, right? So if you break it down, it's like dog owners, it's a purchase behavior, or children's clothes. It's endless, the list that they have, and I'll have a document out soon that really breaks down the behaviors. But when you're trying to build that initial set of data and build some leads and build some, customers, using behavior targeting as opposed to interest targeting is much more effective and will work for you long term as you start to build up your database so you can get to that point where you can start to leverage the 1% lookalike audience.
This is amazing, Justin. I can feel people get it. I'm getting chills. And I especially love it that the really smart way to do it is the cheap, easy way.
It really is, and that's what I think
And
really, people overthink it because the platform and the algorithm is so powerful. And it's something I did for a long time because I've been in the marketing game for so long. It's sort of like you're forcing Facebook to do it your way as opposed to really just leaning back in your chair and letting them go to work for you. And that's really what's been so impactful with all the businesses, whether it's through my coaching or Fresh Agency with the Done For You services, the ability to really just apply these formulas over and over again to different businesses, it allows us to focus most of our energy on the offer itself, making the offer better so we don't have to, because we have a formula for the rest of it, right? We have a formula for targeting, we have a formula for creating ads because we know it works, and we can spend a lot more of our time on, okay, let's make a better offer, or let's make a better funnel. Let's improve the value that we can bring to people so that they'll buy from us sooner than later. And the things that are more important to business as opposed to getting caught up in, should I check this box or should I do interest targeting, and all this stuff that really can be overwhelming to most people getting started with Facebook ads.
right, and you can see how this can easily really be evergreen. Like there is, in fact, an endless supply of people who are already into your stuff, are just like your buyers, and you can kind of just turn on the faucet.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that people don't fully understand when it comes to building custom audiences and using automation like SyncSumo that keeps those audiences up to date every hour. And then that data in turn is updating a lookalike audience every moment. So what's happening is that, whether it's, you're even seasonally as buyer behavior changes throughout the year, or you start to get some momentum and you're starting to attract different types of people into your business, that's all changing dynamically within Facebook as it happens. So just to your point, the initial 2 million and that 1% lookalike, every day that the 2 million people that are in there are different. It's pulling in people that are falling out of that lookalike and people that are now falling into it, right? So as your new data comes in and even new people come on Facebook, that's changing all the time. It's not the same static 2 million all the time. It just represents 2 million people at any given time within that audience. So it's really, really powerful stuff that works dynamically for you. So if you can get it going and you get it set up with the right stuff, then over time, like you said, it really is evergreen. And it matches well with any kind of evergreen offer because, that's what I have is I'll show it to you here as we move into this next section, how all this stuff plays into building something evergreen and doing it as easy as possible. So now, like I said earlier, there's a lot of different objectives that Facebook has because some people, big brands just need brand impressions. Local businesses need you to see where their office is or give you a call now button. Some people are trying to generate leads. Some people are trying to generate sales directly off the platform. And so Facebook creates a lot of different, what they call campaign objectives before you create your ad. And they want to know, what is it that we're supposed to be doing for you? What are we going to go and create? Are we going to generate leads? Are we going to generate sales, awareness, and these types of things? So we're going to talk about what I believe is the easiest way to set up ads to generate leads for your business, and you don't need landing pages, pixels, or websites, which is just a phenomenal thing. And we're going to talk about it in detail. It's called Facebook lead ads. And really what they've done in the early days is that, advertisers, this behavior, as I showed you, that it's all moving to mobile, and advertisers were really having a tough time in the early days of Facebook advertising getting conversions where they were used to seeing them through other platforms because mobile devices and people were being sent off to web pages that weren't responsive. They were being sent to landing pages that they had to fill out the form, and that's still very popular. And people have a lot of those types of funnels. You saw it even opting into for this training, a standard landing page with a form on it. And what Facebook basically said is, well, there's no reason we can't host the form. And we actually have all the data that most advertisers are asking for: name, email, phone number, whatever it is that you have, that's probably in their profile already. And so what they did is, and this was in October of last year, October of 2015, I'm sorry, where they launched what they call lead ads. And it allows you to run an ad, and it's basically 2 clicks and someone's opted into your offer. And that ad that I showed you, that's exactly, and we're going to break down that ad, the one that I showed you earlier for the $1 Million Facebook ad template. That's what I'm using to generate the leads for my businesses. And it's really 2 taps, right? So whether the button subscribe or learn more or download, they tap that, they see a form that's pre-filled already with their information based on what you're asking for, and they just hit submit, and they've given you their information for that offer that you put there. So this has just drastically changed the whole game, really. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in the marketing space that still haven't fully grasped the potential with lead ads that are there. And that's another thing that we do with SyncSumo is we take those leads out of Facebook in real time and get them into your most important marketing platforms, and we'll show you how to do that. But really, this just allows any type of marketer, whether you're a new guy or you've been at it for some time, to put something out there and see if people will engage with it, right? So, a lot of people would spend months on end building out this funnel to find out nobody wanted it. They spend time, energy, money building this stuff out, hoping because they liked it and their employees said, yeah, that looks great, or their staff or the guys that they hired to build it said, yeah, this is going to work amazing. And then they put it out there and it doesn't, right? And now you've wasted all this energy. You don't know where the problem is. Where's the problem in the funnel? This is the ability to take that same formula, AIDA formula that I gave you, apply it to lead ads and build something within minutes that you can start to see, are people interested in this, and scaling it up. And really the big difference here is that because it's pre-filled the form and they're just tapping a button to opt in, there's no more, like I said earlier, it's, hey, I'm in the grocery store line, I'm trying to fat finger a form on my mobile device, I'm driving down the street doing this. We're all guilty of it, right? We're on our cell phones in the most craziest places looking at our cell phone. And, this just makes it so much easier for the advertiser to capture information from people. And it's about greasing the slide, right? If I'm interested in an offer, why do I have to sit there and type my email and my name every time, right? It's just like, just give it to me, right? Tap, tap. And that's what Facebook's done here with lead ads. And so it's just phenomenal if you put it into, kind of the bigger picture of what I've been training you on here tonight. And really, to remind you why lead ads kick ass is just because you can focus again on your offer. You don't have to spend so much time on, I get the landing page, and did we get the tracking pixel on the landing page, and how are we going to track those leads, and did we have the thank you page, and all this stuff. How many forms what kind of questions should we ask in the form? Should we just ask for email, name, and email? None of that stuff really matters. You can set this stuff up with a couple clicks of a button, and you don't have to worry about whether your tracking pixel is on your website, how you're going to track your leads, and the stuff is already pre-filled, so it makes the prospect's life that much easier when filling out the form. And in many cases, you can generate the leads at half the cost simply because people aren't having to deal with the fact of filling out the form. A lot of people will see something that's interesting to them, and life distracts them because they're doing all those things out and about on their mobile phone. And the lady in the grocery store line register says, hi, how you doing? Before you know it, you're off doing something else, not opting into your landing page. So this is why lead ads really kicks ass. And so I talked about there's different objectives that Facebook gives us. You can get a kind of clear picture of this here, right? So if you're a big brand and you're just trying to get brand awareness, you have awareness stuff or local awareness. If I'm driving to a certain area, you can show ads to people for your tanning salon or for your winery or whatever the case may be, right? And then for consideration, you're trying to generate traffic. You're trying to get engagement on a post. You're trying to get your app installed. You have videos. You're trying to generate views. Facebook's trying to understand what you're trying to accomplish so that they can optimize your campaign for your objective. And so when it comes to lead ads, the objective is called lead generation. And that's what they're calling, that's the name, AKA lead ads. is the lead generation objective. So I just wanted to show you, if you've ever run Facebook ads, or their interface has gotten a lot easier, but there's just so many options that I think that's really what overwhelms folks. So I want to at least give you a screen grab here, so if you're looking for lead ads in your ads manager, you'll understand what objective it is. It's the lead generation objective. So let me walk you through the lead ads process so you can understand it, and I'll keep using the same ad. And again, I'm running this ad, and I'll show you some stats on it and some other case studies with lead ads as we go through this. But essentially, if anybody clicks anywhere really on the ad or the download button, you can click on the image, it's going to take them to the lead ads form. And so this is actually quite advanced what I'm doing here. Most people are going to ask for name and email, or name, email, and phone number. And in my experience with lead ads, I think it's critical that you ask for phone numbers for most offers, because if you only use the email to follow up with them, as we talked about, open rates on email is limited. If you sell anything of value that has a price point even above $200, the sooner you can get somebody on the phone, or you can get them into text marketing, lead ads is going to work much more successfully for you, because you can actually use a different channel to reach them. And so in this particular lead ad form, I'm asking them, what's cool with Facebook lead ads, you can ask up to 3 custom questions. So this helps you qualify the leads as you're bringing them in. And again, this is clickety-click. I built this out. It wasn't something I had to build on a landing page or pasting in form code onto a landing page. None of that, right? I built this in minutes. And what I'm doing here is I'm segmenting people on the front end so that I can get them to the right information faster, right? Instead of, hey, here's my report, give me your name and email, and then I spend the next 4 weeks emailing them trying to get them segmented into the programs that they need right now. Instead, I'm using this form saying, hey, I've got a great offer. I'm going to give you my $1 million Facebook ad template, which I'm happy to send to you, Samantha, so you can send to everybody as well. And I'm asking them right then, just tell me a little bit about you. Are you a newbie? Are you skilled but need some guidance? Are you an expert trying to stay on your game? And then the next question I'm asking them, what would help you the most? Step-by-step training, coaching program, done for you services. And then the last one I'm saying, can I text you this report? And what's so surprising is that 70% of people allow me to text them the report. So immediately I've just opened a channel that I can now text market them, which I get 98% open rates on that. And so that's what I'm doing here. And so what I'm, as I segment this, I'm having Infusionsoft send them, it's going into the right campaigns, because I use SyncSumo to push that data right into the right place, and it triggers the right campaign so that they can get to my step-by-step training program right away. They can get to my coaching program right away. They can get to Fresh Agency and fill out an application there right away if that's what they need.
70% say yes.
70%. 70%.
That's banana pants.
So that's behavior. It's just like people are used to seeing brands and ads on Facebook now. It's the same thing. They want to get to the information faster. They don't want to go check an email and click another link and go to a landing page. And we're in that mode where things are about, give it to me now, and text. They know they can get it right away.
Right, and you're giving them something of value that they need and want right now.
That's right. Yeah.
We had a question come in on the chat about, we all have our email privacy policies. We've said, I will not share or rent your information.
Yeah.
But uploading that to Facebook and saying, hey, find me people like this is not the same as sharing an email with another marketer.
Not at all. No, because Facebook is not using, you will not see. So what happens there is, only so many emails and phone numbers are going to convert into Facebook user IDs. That's what they're doing there, is they're saying, hey, this email or this phone number is associated with a Facebook user ID. And so you're going to have, depending on the types of emails that you collect, if you collect a lot of @gmail.com's type emails, personal emails, you're going to have a much higher conversion rate, maybe 60 to 80% conversion. And if you're getting like @corporation.com, you're probably going to see 20 to 40% conversion rates to Facebook user IDs. And they're never telling you who converted. So they're never going to tell you who's inside of one of their audiences and they're not using that data. They're using that data to help you target those people on Facebook. They're not using it on an individual level in any way.
Right. And you're not giving them information they don't already have.
Right, exactly. And that's really what's going on there, is they're only converting it to people that they already have on their platform.
Right.
And so this is after they tap download on the ad, this is what they're seeing, and it's already pre-filled, right? So they're not filling out the full name, email, and phone number. It's already, Facebook puts that in there. So literally they just have to click these 3 drop downs, answer the question, which makes it more engaging too. So now instead of typing out their name and all that on a traditional landing page, they're more willing to fill out these types of drop downs because they don't have to do that. And so that's something to keep in mind, is that, when you make it more engaging and you ask these types of questions and it seems like it's more meaningful to them, then you're going to get a higher quality lead coming through there than people that just give you name and email. There's a lot of people that are going to click, 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 and then if you were to reach out to them, if you call them 6 hours later or a day later, they're going to say, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, what did I opt into? I don't. So, if you're collecting phone numbers and you're going to call people, you need to call them nearly immediately, because that's generally what you find in phone type of sales, is that, and more so, even more these days, like within the first 5 minutes, you get the best response. And that's really where the texting comes in. We're using, Fix Your Funnel with Infusionsoft to make that happen. And, we can have full-on conversations with folks that are fully automated through text, and we're getting, huge open rates there. So we're getting people to webinars, we're getting people to take the actions, because a lot of people, they download the report, they never go to your email and actually consume it ever, and so the texting thing keeps it right in front of them, where, again, they're sort of engaging with friends and family and things like that via text. And so this is kind of the lead ads thank you page. It really is just saying, thanks, you're all good to go, and they do give you a button to visit the website. Most people do not click that. They go right back to Facebook because they've finished, they kind of got that emotional completion. They don't really know, because Facebook doesn't allow you to say anything here. They don't really know that, there might be some more value by clicking the view website button. So generally they just go back to Facebook. And so really what happens next is, if you don't use a tool like SingSumo, Facebook just keeps the leads in your Facebook page, and you have to manually go download them, which is just horrendous. And it's really why one of the reasons that we created SingSumo was both to sync your email database and phone number database with Facebook's custom audiences, as we talked about earlier in the targeting section, and also to take leads from lead ads out of Facebook in real time, so that we can push them into Infusionsoft and send email alerts through our lead alerts program. Or if you're doing webinar stuff, you can use lead ads to register people right to GoToWebinar or Webinar Jam, and that's really EverWebinar is an Evergreen webinar platform. So talking about Evergreen stuff, a lot of folks are having great success with using webinars and making them evergreen once they've put together a really good one. And the beauty with lead ads is you can generate those leads, the form's pre-filled, and SingSumo can push them both into Infusionsoft and EverWebinar at the same time, so that those platforms can do their job for you and automate the process even further. So to give you kind of some real world examples and how much the leads cost, I mean, these are questions you get all the time. For this particular campaign, which I'm still running, and I probably will run this campaign for as long as possible, meaning like it's likely it will do well for a couple of years, and I still haven't started targeting Canada and the UK and the other countries that I can do text marketing in, because I think it's critically important that I stick with countries that I can do the text marketing, because that channel and being able to text people and get them into the various things that I'm up to is important to me. But our tool set, half of our customers at SingSumo are international; they're not in the U.S. So there's it's a global opportunity. But I try and build offers. As we talk about Evergreen, I try and build offers that are evergreen, right? I want to build something, refine it over time, and put it and fully automate it so that I can focus on other things that allow me to bring more value to people and teach them about Facebook ads, as opposed to being, in the minutia of creating new ads every 3 weeks because of the offers I put together or short-term offers.
Mhm.
So, this particular $1 million Facebook ad template, well, anybody that's ever thought about Facebook ads is doing Facebook ads, but they're a beginner that's having some success, or an expert has an interest in this template. Even if they can, a guy that's been doing this stuff and knows it well can get one nugget from what I have in this report, it's gold, right? And so that's the key, is that you're putting together offers that, whether, that's meaningful today and will be meaningful for the foreseeable future based on your market and what pain you're solving your market. And so, to take a look at the lifetime, I've had this thing running a couple weeks now with a few $100s a day running on it. So we've generated almost 1,600 leads with a cost of $3.42 a lead. And that's with asking all those questions and asking for their phone number. And then, I've gotten that down to, this is a snapshot of one of the ad sets. I've gotten that down to about a $3 cost per lead now, over time, just refining it and doing some of the other scaling magic that we do. And so, really what this is that, I've spent almost $5,500 in ads, and I've generated $28,000, almost $29,000 in revenue, which leaves me with a profit of $23,000. And so it's because I'm putting people, I'm segmenting them immediately, and I'm getting them to the right program that I have to bring value to them based on where they're at right now in their sort of journey with Facebook ads. And so, this is a real world example that I'm running right now. You'll probably end up seeing this ad in the near future.
Yeah.
But this is kind of real world, and lead costs are all over the place based on your market. The offer has a lot to do with it. So, we'll talk about that a little bit here. Like this guy, he wouldn't even let me, his name's Dan. He sells, massive machinery that, bends metal and all this kind of stuff. And, this is one of those markets where you're like, these guys aren't on Facebook. Like, you're not going to be able to target a guy that's buying fabrication equipment on Facebook. That seems the most ridiculous thing to talk about on Facebook. So, I taught him how to put together lead ads, just like I did with you this evening. And, he spent 100%. So he had a big list. He's been in the industry for a long time. He put his list in there and basically started targeting his list, which is huge. If you have a big list, email list, phone number list, and you get into Facebook, just retargeting or what they call retargeting people that you already know, that you've already invested in, even if it's just largely prospects or even customers that will rebuy from you, the return on investment is just huge. And in his case, he had a large list that he had just gathered over the years because he's been in the industry for a long time. He spent $175 on ads. He generated 44 leads. He called each lead immediately when they came in. It was for a demo for one of the pieces of equipment. So you can imagine if you're opting in for a demo for a fabrication piece of equipment, you're pretty qualified, Yes.
Yeah.
So think in terms of your offer. Like, you don't have to get fancy with me and have some crazy template or whatever that's going to blow everybody's mind, and all this stuff. Keep your offer simple. It could be, claim the $500 discount that I'm giving you. And if it's to the right audience, if you're claiming the discount, well, you must want what I'm offering, right? So you can make offers very simple. In his case, he's saying, we've got this new piece of equipment that we've just came out with, sign up through lead ads to demo it. And he called each lead and set up 3 demos in the first hour. And he ended up selling a $250,000 piece of machinery to a guy that had a business down a gravel road that he would have never, ever reached without Facebook. And so, I think this is a great case study around the ability for those, those folks that really feel like, well, high ticket stuff, like, or audiences that seem like very suggestive. Why would you even engage with that on Facebook? It's very, high-end business stuff.
Right. And I love how low tech it is. He just picked up the phone. He said, do you want me to call you and demo this thing? And they said yes. And so then he called them. And
yeah, and I think that's the key, is like, you got to keep this simple and don't overthink it too much. I mean, you got to make sure that you have that if you're putting an offer like this out there, that you're putting it in front of the right people. And that's what he did, right? He took a giant list that he had. I think it was a 7, 8,000, 10,000 people that he had on his list that he really didn't email market to. And he got that into Facebook, and people lined up. They wanted to, to check out his stuff, and he did it the right way. He called them immediately, right? So he wasn't waiting 6 hours or 2 days to have the secretary call back. He was having a sales guy call back and say, let's talk about this. Let's get your demo scheduled. And it worked like gangbusters. He's still doing it today.
That's great.
Here's another one that is more low ticket stuff, and I wanted to kind of demonstrate how it could be used for e-commerce. Most of my e-commerce stuff, we're driving people right from Facebook, from an ad that's showing a product, to a product page and selling product. We don't do a lot of lead generation. There's not a lot of reason to generate the lead and then try and sell them product when I could have just sold them the product directly. So I don't have the extra costs. If you can't sell products on Facebook directly, then you don't have a very unique product, probably. So some people do that are in the e-commerce space. If they have more commoditized products, then they may use lead generation to lead them into and nurture them to those products. But in this particular case, we ran a giveaway, right? So we bundled up a bunch of our best products, and we said, we're going to give this stuff away once a month. Opt in if you want it. And so that's one of those, like, well, if you're opting in to win it, you'd probably buy it if you had the money in, right? So it's these giveaway type of offers, and you can apply that to any type of business. Give away something. People like tangible stuff. So in the product market, giveaways work better because they like to touch things. They like to feel it. They like to have a tangible. And so even if you have a service-based business, rolling in some sort of tangible thing that they can take away from that goes a long way. Whether it's giving them an iPad or whatever the case may be, just think in terms of what can I tangibly give someone. Like, if you do personal training, well, give them the foam rollers, give them these things that they need, and it makes them feel, make it as a part of your package, or even, hey, we'll send you a foam roller, just pay for shipping, free plus shipping type offers. But in this particular case, and with lead ads, we wanted to test lead ads for a giveaway, and then try and nurture them into sales. And so we spent less than $50 on ads. We generated 46 leads, and we just nurtured them to sales, and we generated $428 in product sales in the first 30 days. So this was just like a quick test that we did for giveaways to see if that was a better strategy, or if we could generate sales cheaper than we could than running people directly to the Facebook page. And we still run this. We ran this during the holidays, and we actually got a lot better numbers than what I even have on the slide. But it's an interesting way to augment what we're doing with our e-commerce business, and using giveaways to do that with lead ads. Here's another one, B2C, or a business to consumer, where we're high ticket, so in the real estate space. This works really well. It's interesting with doing open houses and that type of thing, where people are opting in to, open houses. You're like, hey, just put a sign on 16 different corners around the house and hope that people pull in, right?
Hope that somebody's driving by at that moment.
Yeah, exactly. That actually needs a house. Anyway, so we sort of took that strategy to Facebook and said, we're having an open house, and we use slideshow videos like we talked about, with different houses that are either available now or had been sold in the past. And, this was in a local market, and again, spent less than $400 on ads, generated 40 leads, and they sold a house with one open house, as opposed to 6 weeks of open houses waiting for someone to show up. That's the beauty of Facebook, is that I always talk about Google versus Facebook. Google is demand fulfillment. There's only so many people searching on your keywords every month. Facebook is demand generation. Now you can put your ad in front of millions of people that look just like your customers. And that's what's happening here with this open house. Like, instead of waiting for someone to just drive by your for sale sign or your open house sign on the weekend, now you can all week long get them engaged and let them know there's going to be an open house and get their information, name, email, phone number, so they can call them and give them more details about the houses and find out what they're interested in. I mean, that's just a great conversation opener. And, you know, in local markets, this kind of shows you how the pricing on leads differs. You know, their average lead cost was about $9 with lead ads.
That's great.
So, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just like, you have to get started and you have to keep going. You know, this is an investment in your business, and, you know, this stuff took me years to figure out. And there's no question that Facebook and the other properties that they own are the most powerful platforms that allow any business with any available budget to start putting ads in front of the right people. And I hope that what we went through this evening will help you lower the intimidation that you might have about how to get Facebook ads up and how to get them going and how to do it the easiest way possible while still ensuring that they're going to work for you. So I think that, you know, if any of you can join us for the Evergreen implementation retreat at the end of the month, what we're going to do is take, you know, a similar piece of this and the stuff that the other team members are helping us put together with reporting and building your funnels and really helping you take your business evergreen so that we can build these ads and build these audiences and basically leave the retreat with a business that generates profits for you every day, so that you can wake up in the morning with, you know, new sales coming in, stuff that you didn't have to work for. That's really our goal with the retreat, is to bring that type of value to your business so that, you know, you don't have to walk this path alone and try and put these pieces together for your business here in 2017.
Exactly. Justin, thank you so much. We got a couple of questions, if you don't mind answering them.
I'd love to.
But I also want to underline this thing about the retreat. It's an implementation retreat. So it's like 90 minutes of teaching, 90 minutes of work time, 90 minutes of teaching, 90 minutes of work time. So you will actually get this done while you're in the room with me, Justin, Leonore, Mary Kay, Scott, and some of the other experts who will be there. So it's an opportunity to do this. Because even as easy as this is, it's still work. You know, it still requires something to set up, and you'll have questions along the way. And we wanted to create something where we could do this alongside you, answer your questions as they come up, put you in a room with some other genius business owners so you can feed each other and be interested. So that's evergreenretreat.co. Leonore, maybe you can type that into the chat if you guys want to take a look at that. There's also an opportunity just to book a call with me if you want to talk about whether or not it's right for you. But if you're looking at this and nodding and smiling, it's probably right for you. So if you're looking at this and going, oh no, then it's probably not. So we had a question about just in that first ad that you showed, this one with the woman whispering, which I understand pictures, you know, we process images 60,000 times faster than we process words. So pictures are always going to draw more attention than words.
Sure.
And pictures of women, particularly, will get more clicks than pictures of men.
That's great.
No. I think kittens and babies are in there too, but women definitely draw. So Helen was asking how long you ran that. What are these results from? How long did that take you?
This is 2 weeks. So the lifetime, I've been running this for about 2 weeks now.
Fantastic. That's an amazing result.
Yeah, a few $100s a day.
And this is not that unusual for you.
No, this is very, very typical, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is not like, oh, I had this one that did really well and then a bunch that did really crap. I mean, not all of them are going to do great, but...
Yeah, so the one that I ran earlier, which was more of an illustration of if you know, when you send the folks the $1 million Facebook ad template, it's really like more of an illustration of a cell phone with the ad right on it. I was generating leads at about 450 each on those. And so it's just a process of testing different images. And this one has crushed it for us in other markets. So it's one of those, you know, and you'll find that when you start to pick out metaphoric images is that, you know, they'll work in any industry, and you can keep reusing them for different offers that you might have, simply because they're just so engaging that people stop and read the rest of your ad copy.
Well, and for my people who are artists, you can use your own images, your own photographs, your own artwork.
That's correct. Yeah.
Your own headshot, your own pictures. You know, the more interesting and absorbing things are. Because here's part of the problem, you guys, is there's a lot of stuff that's just incredibly boring.
Yeah.
And if you can be not incredibly boring, you're way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Good. We also got some questions on how did you target the audience for the open house? What would you select in the targeting for
Yeah,
that?
so that's an interesting one, and it really plays into what I talked about with paying too much for the inventory. So in that particular case, and this is the thing, is that Facebook does have a lot of data uh, on homeowners, how long they've owned the home, people that are renters or in apartments, first-time home buyers. I mean, they have a lot of segmentation when it comes to the real estate space, and but what you'll find is that we don't use any of that. One of the things that a lot of people will do will say, okay, they'll choose homeowners that have owned their home for 5 years or more, or 3 years or more, and they're targeting them because they're more likely to move, and they already own a home, so they're probably going to be better buyers. But generally what we do when we're trying to target any kind of homeowners is that what we do, instead of checking the homeowner's box, which is third-party data, okay, Facebook doesn't really know if you own your home. They're tapping into third party like Axiom and these other big players that have that data. What we'll do in those particular cases is that we will again keep the gender and the age pretty much wide open, because in local markets, again, it's a challenge to get to millions of people in the audience, but we still want to give Facebook as large an audience as we can, even if it's 500,000. We want to kind of get it to that if we can, to give it the most room possible. And we might go full 50 miles out, because again, we're trying to give Facebook as much room as possible in those local markets to find people that are likely going to opt in to check out that home. And what we'll do is, let's say that we wanted to target homeowners because we feel like those were better buyers, we would exclude renters and people in apartments. So that gives us a lot more audience, because now instead of including homeowners, which is actually excluding a lot of homeowners that Facebook just doesn't know that they're homeowners, we will exclude renters and apartment people, because that way we're only pulling out people that definitely don't own a home.
Yeah, fantastic.
So it's stuff like that we do in local markets, where we might use exclusions of the other side of things, as opposed to the inclusion, because the inclusion likely is removing people that did own a home, because it's third-party data. So again, we're trying to keep things as broad as possible, but targeted, because your ad is really going to target them, right? So if I'm in a local area and I'm saying city names, residents, right? That's the audience call out.
Right.
Open house this weekend. Well, that's, are you in the market to buy a new home? Question mark. Open house, this weekend. Opt in to get more details. It's that simple. And so the ad and the copy and the imagery is pulling out the right people in that local area. And as those leads come in, Facebook says, oh, they look like this. I'll go find some more like that in the audience.
Yeah, fantastic. And so you're just opening up the conversation, and then you can follow up with them however, if you want to do text, if you want to do phone calls, if you want to do email. We had a question if the report could be just a one-page report, and I would say absolutely.
Yeah, what you'll find with, again, it's all about attention span. It's very short these days. So the shorter you can present your value, the information, the better, because the longer your stuff is, the less it's likely to be consumed. And if they're not consuming the value that you're delivering in the lead magnet or the report, then they're not going to get to your next step in the sales process, because they didn't really build a relationship with you and the information that you had to present. So in this particular case, I used PowerPoint to create it, and it's 10 slides, one for each of the secret psychological triggers. So it's very easy to consume. I've combined it with imagery and a little bit of text. And it's whether they're on their cell phone or whatever, it's very simple for them to consume right there and then and get the value from it, as opposed to the traditional 20-page ebook or whatever. People just do not read that stuff anymore. So going with like cheat sheets and checklists and resource guides and things that are really tight and short is actually going to get better response. And even in your ad, if it sounds like it's too long or too time consuming to read through it or whatever, they're not even going to download it.
Right, exactly. Who's got that kind of time? Good. Ramsey's asking about a $10 ad budget, $10 a day.
So the thing to understand, and it's one of those things that I've tried to nail down over the years, and I've been fortunate enough to have a Facebook rep and have dealt with a lot of people at Facebook to really nail down this question and figure it out. So the challenge with having $10 a day ad budgets is that in my conversations with Facebook is that you really need about 4 or 5 leads per day, or you need 4 or 5 conversions, whatever that is for your business. In the case of lead ads, that would be generating 4 or 5 leads a day for the algorithm to fully optimize that campaign for you. So the challenge with running $10 a day is that it could work, but it may not, because the problem is you're probably not going to generate 4 or 5 leads with $10 a day. And so you need to, generally what I teach now is to start with $30 a day, because even if your leads cost you $5 each, you'll make sure that at least you're giving that particular ad set, is what they call it, inside of a campaign, you're giving it the best opportunity to win, because you're going to be giving Facebook enough data each day to fully optimize that ad set.
Right. That's so valuable. And $30 a day, I mean, that's lunch.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
It's less than $1,000 a month. And, I know it's tough for some small businesses, but, if you can invest that in your business, then you probably need to be looking at what you're offering the market, bringing more value to the market first.
Right, exactly. This has been so delicious, and I can tell how excited everybody is. So, but we got to wrap up. We got to let Justin go to his beautiful daughter and beautiful fiance. Right? You're still engaged?
Yes, still engaged. Yes.
She hasn't wised up yet, huh?
She'll never know. Keeping all the secrets.
Fantastic. So for those of you who are already enrolled in Evergreen Retreat, I want to give you some homework, which is to do that ADIA draft for yourself, like write out a couple of those of what they might be, and then you don't have to get them perfect, just start to get some stuff on paper. Yeah. I want you to start to find some images that you find compelling or that you think your audience will find compelling. I love what Justin was saying about metaphorical images, the elephant, the woman with the secret, like really pick ones that tell a story and that are groovy, that are cool, that aren't none of you are allowed to use that woman on the beach with her hand raised. None of you. I'm over it. That and the stack of stones. No.
It will still work well though.
I know. It's a really effective image. It just makes me crazy. So start looking at those and start thinking about how wide open your audience can be, not how restricted your audience can be, but how wide open it can be. If you're interested in coming down to San Diego and working with me and Justin and Mary Kay and Scott for 3 days, it's a very reasonably priced retreat, and you can tell how much value you just got in the last, whatever this was, 97 minutes or something. You can imagine 3 days. And again, it's a working retreat. So you're not just going to sit there and take notes and then go home and go, great, now what? You're actually going to do it while we're there. That's the whole point of the thing. Yeah. So if you're into this, we hope you'll find out more about it. Otherwise, take this information, run with it, become incredibly successful, and then send Justin a bouquet of flowers to say,
there you go. I love flowers.
You love flowers. Good. Anything else I'm forgetting or anything anybody needs to say? Too far from Brisbane? It's not too far from Brisbane. We've got people coming from Australia for this. You could totally make it.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. There's some great deals right now, actually, too. It's a great time to buy airplane tickets. I do not accept Australia as an excuse. Nope.
I've had a great time. I mean, I'm excited to help other folks put this stuff together. I live and breathe for it. I make plenty of money. So being able to help folks kind of, bypass all the challenges and frustration that I've had over the years trying to find solutions and helping businesses grow, it's what I love to do. So I'm excited to meet each of you and help you grow your business any way I possibly can.
Great. Thank you so much, Justin. Leonore, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, have a beautiful evening. And we'll see you next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and we'll talk about once you get them with Justin's strategy here, what do you do with them? How do you make it sticky? How do you entice them? How do you wow them? How do you upsell them, cross-sell them, and make them really valuable members of your community? So it's a lot of secret sauce going on. Mwah. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great night.
Thanks. Bye.